thanks for watching Coastal Living with Phil T. I appreciate your interest in the video. Welcome to my little town of Surfside Beach, South Carolina. If you're watching this video, you're probably making the decision, or at least looking into possibly moving along the Grand Strand. So today, let's talk a little bit about this sleepy little beach town called Surfside Beach, also known as the Family Beach. Surfside Beach, South Carolina, known as the Family Beach, and it's become one of the most desirable places to live along the South Carolina coast. Today, I'm going to show you what it's really like to live here, and also who it's perfect for, and a few things you should know before buying a home here. One of the first things I want to talk about is, well, where is Surfside Beach, South Carolina? Let's pull up the Google Maps. To start out, I'm going to show you guys a little bit about where Myrtle Beach is. So of course you see Myrtle Beach here, you see Myrtle's Inlet down here. Surfside Beach is located right there in the middle. So when I'm talking about Surfside Beach, South Carolina, I am talking about the town of Surfside Beach, which is right here between Melody Lane and 17th North. Now, as you can see, up here is Ocean Lakes. Down here starts Garden City with Oceanside Village. And over in this area, you have the non-incorporated side of Horry County, or also known as Southern Myrtle Beach. Now, the town of Surfside does cover Highway 17. In fact, it goes back about 1 block here. So you will see a few of the houses back there, part of our town. Overall, though, Surfside Beach is this area right here. This is the area we're going to be talking about in today's video. So how did Surfside Beach become the quaint little town it is today? Well, unlike Myrtle's Inlet, which grew around fishing in March, Surfside Beach was developed with one goal in mind: a quiet beach community where families could live and vacation and eventually, maybe one day, call home. Before development, this stretch of coastline was mostly sand dunes, maritime forest, and farmland. Yeah, believe it or not, Surfside used to be farmland. The area actually began getting developed in the early 1900s as improved roads made the coast more accessible. In the 1920s and 1930s, small beach cottages began appearing, attracting families looking for a peaceful alternative to a busier beach destination. In 1964, Surfside officially became incorporated as a town. And over the years, leaders focused on preserving a family-friendly atmosphere rather than becoming an entertainment destination. The name Family Beach wasn't just marketing. It reflected the town's identity with quieter beaches, great local events, and a strong sense of community. Like many coastal towns, Surfside has faced many hurricanes and tropical storms over the years. Major storms including Hurricane Hugo in 1989, Hurricane Matthews in 2016, and Florence in 2018 caused damage, but of course, as a community, we rebuilt over time. Those experiences also shaped stricter building standards and helped create the mix of the classic beach cottages and newer elevated homes that you see today while driving around the Surfside Beach area. Of course, we can't talk about hurricanes without mentioning the Surfside Pier. As you know, at one point, the Surfside Pier unfortunately fell into disrepair and had to be demolished after Hurricane Matthews. It took a while, but finally the new Surfside Beach Pier opened in 2024, becoming a symbol of our town's resilience and gathering place for all of our locals and visitors. Today, Surfside Beach has managed to grow while still holding on to that small town, family-focused atmosphere that made people fall in love with it in the first place. After all, it still continues being the family beach. A lot of folks, while they're looking for a property here in Surfside Beach, want to know what it's like to live here. Well, there's 2 types of buyers that come to this town. Actually, we'll start with 3. The person that's looking for a great little beach house to rent out, or also maybe a short-term rental. The other buyer is maybe looking for a place to escape for a few months out of the year. They're not going to live here full time, but maybe eventually one day they will. And of course, the full-time resident. Now, the one thing that all 3 of those folks find is the small town atmosphere. This has a sleepy beach town feel that just brings people to want to be here. You'll see people out walking all throughout the year, right there on Ocean Boulevard, or biking along the beach areas. You'll find friendly neighborhoods all throughout Surfside Beach, whether you're on the north end or the south end. Community events take place throughout the year thanks to our very active town, and also a farmer's market every Tuesday right there in Surfside Drive at the park, which is absolutely great. You can find some awesome things there every single week, including fresh vegetables, fresh bread, and crafts, jewelry, you name it. Also, don't forget about the Crafters Cove market happening on Thursdays. Big holidays like Memorial Day and 4th of July, we have great celebrations, along with a Christmas parade, a golf cart parades throughout the year, and much more. One of the great things about Surfside Beach has to be the fact that you can golf cart just about anywhere you want to go. Everywhere from going to see friends, family, and even to go grab dinner at a restaurant, maybe go watch some live music, or even just grab a drink and watch the sunset from Scotty's Beach Bar. Anytime folks are moving here to the Surfside Beach area, golf carts become part of the conversation because there's only so many areas that you can live that are as golf cart friendly as Surfside. In fact, when you look at the map, you want to make sure when you're crossing 17 that you're doing it in a safe manner. You cannot cross 17 in a area that does not have a red light, or at least you should not. I highly recommend not, but I've heard people argue that rule before. Either way, when it comes down to being on a golf cart, you got to be aware of your surroundings and know the local laws. In fact, one of the things you're going to want to do is make sure that your golf cart is registered with South Carolina. So make sure you check that out and find out more information from the DMV. In Surfside, you can drive your golf cart 24 hours a day, which is a little bit different than other areas of the state of South Carolina, which is kind of great if you're out visiting friends late at night or something else, but you just want to make sure you're being very careful. The other thing you're going to want to remember is here in Surfside, parking your golf cart down at the beach accesses. Sometimes, if you're part of the Surfside town, you get a sticker every year. All you have to do is register with the town that you have a golf cart or an LSV, and they'll give you a sticker to park down at the beach accesses, as well as different areas throughout the town. If you're visiting, you're going to have to pay to park at those beach access points, or if you live outside the town of Surfside, you're going to have to either get in the lottery once a year to hopefully get a ticket, or you're going to have to go ahead and sign up every single time you park. So just keep that in mind. In Surfside, golf cart life is a way of life. In fact, I drive my cart more than I drive my truck most weeks. The one thing our town definitely loves is our new pier. It is absolutely beautiful. And I'll tell you what, built like no other, especially considering the construction advancements that they have used over the years to rebuild it. It features everything from fishing to walking to little beach events, as well as live music, ice cream nearby, and so much more. There's definitely a lot happening around the Surfside Beach Pier. You definitely want to check out our town's event page to see what's happening there, as Monday nights they have fire breathing. Also throughout the week they have different events, and throughout the year they'll even do a 9/11. The fire department shows up and they climb the steps. It's awesome what they do around the pier. So check it out next time you're here in town. Go grab you something to eat at the Surfside Diner, or maybe the Whistling Duck, and of course take a walk out on that pier and check it out. It is free to walk the pier. You will have to pay to use parking though. So just keep it in mind. Next time you're in town though, definitely worth the visit. And stop by and get some Drippy's ice cream too. So of course you're watching this video, probably eventually thinking about moving to Surfside Beach, or at least trying to figure out if it's for you. So when it comes down to Surfside Beach, what does it cost to live here? When it comes down to buying a house, different zoning means different things. There are a few different zoning areas in Surfside, one of which is going to be your R3 district, which is for short-term rentals, your R2 district, which is for duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, and your R1 district, which is for long-term residential. If you're looking to move here, then you're probably going to be in this R1 district, in which we're talking about right now. So what's it cost to buy something? Well, in the R3 district, which is along our ocean front, if you're looking for an oceanfront home, you're probably going to spend about 1.5 million or more. In fact, I believe the last house that sold was about $1.5 million. When you're looking at raised beach houses outside of oceanfront, maybe across the street or in the R3 district in general, you're looking at about 800,000 or more. In fact, right now there's one on the market in the mid sevens. For the opportunity, that of course is for the opportunity to rent short term. Now, if you're looking to live here and want to find something in the R1 district or R2, you'll find some houses in about 600,000 that might need some work, but custom raised beach houses in this town are over $1 million, and you'll see that pretty regularly. Ranch homes or homes on the ground are mostly found in the R1 district in the long-term living area. Usually you'll find them in the 400,000 area, but need some work. Most are in the high 600s for a three-bedroom, two bath, and of course can go up from there. In fact, sometimes you'll see those folks with ranch homes getting more for sale, resale when it comes down to their houses because folks that move here don't care to use steps. So it being on the ground makes it a more popular home and you'll get better money for your resale. Condos in the R1 or R2 district, which are long term or multifamily, are around $300,000, what they start out with. In the R3 for rentals, you're looking in the mid 300,000s. And oceanfront, you'll expect to spend about a $500,000 for a condo here in Surfside. Most of those are about a two-bedroom, two bath. Every once in a while, you will find a three-bedroom, but they don't come up too often. Townhomes, the price points are about the same as the condos. The one beautiful thing about Surfside is it's an established town. We're protective over our trees, which definitely gives you that established feel. And it, of course, helps with drainage and so much more. You will find some new homes being built in the Surfside area where they're taking down older homes, so keep your eye open if you're looking at new construction. Otherwise, if you're looking for new construction, you might have to look on the other side of 17. There are no new neighborhoods being built here in Surfside at this time. One of the biggest misconceptions that I hear a lot when it comes down to anywhere along the Grand Strand is that, oh, you're on the east side of 17, you're probably in a flood zone. Unfortunately, I have heard that, and I gotta say, it's totally false. Let's take a look at the flood map and I'll explain more. When it comes down to the town of Surfside, you have a few different areas. Of course, you have your flood zone, which is found in the blue highlighted areas. From there, you have your 100-year flood zone, which is in the tan shading areas. And then the areas that are not shaded are, you'll see the satellite photos, that there is non-flood zone. So as you can see, some of the properties back here in the backside are not in a flood zone, while the ones in the tan are in a flood zone, and you'll probably want to get flood insurance for that. Of course, zone AE, you'll definitely want to get flood insurance for. But as you can see, there are a lot of properties outside of a flood zone. So if you're buying a ranch home in Surfside, it doesn't mean that you're gonna have to get flood insurance because it's on the ground. I do personally feel that you should get it because if a storm comes in, you never know. One thing to take a look at is definitely around the ponds. Sometimes those ponds will get pretty high, especially with storms, and they will kind of overgo their banks. So you want to make sure if you're near those that you have enough, height between you and that pond. So just kind of keep that in mind. As always, anytime you're looking at a property, whether it's with me or any agent, make sure you study the FEMA maps and find out what your property is in when it comes to flood zones. When it comes to flood insurance, if you're in one of the non-flood zone areas, you can usually get flood insurance for a couple $100 a year. When you get into the 100-year flood zone, you're looking at maybe 1 to 2,000. But if you are in a flood zone and ocean front, you could look for maybe $3,000 to $5,000 a year. It's very important to get in touch with an insurance agent and find out what your property will cost to insure when it comes down to flood insurance. So you're wondering what are the pros and cons when it comes down to living in Surfside Beach? I gotta say, one of the pros, at least to me, I think we have the most beautiful beaches in the Grand Strand. Now, of course, I am biased because I live here, but I'm just saying it's definitely one of the top things that brings folks here year in and year out. The other thing is the golf cart lifestyle. I love my life on my golf cart. I love it. Also, the fact that this town is family friendly. It has a great walkability rate to it as you can walk to many restaurants. You can also walk to many bars, get ice cream, and even walk to see live music. You can kind of walk to a grocery store if you need to, but you might want to make sure you put your walking shoes on because it is across the highway. Also, great restaurants throughout Surfside Beach, as well as a strong community feel and a convenient location. I can be to the Myrtle Beach Airport in 10 to 15 minutes, and I love that fact. When it comes to the cons, it's tough to even say these, but as always, there's always a negative as well as a positive. Higher prices here near the beach when it comes down to Surfside. We only have so much inventory in the town, and with the R3 district being the way it is, and it breaks up the town the way it does, you can pay a little bit more per square footage because of the higher, because of the low inventory and the amount of land that we have. Also, summer traffic can be a little tough sometimes, especially on highways like 544. Not really town side, but when you're trying to get out of town or go do anything, you will find high summer traffic. Limited inventory is something we've already talked about. And of course, flood insurance may be required in some locations, which always can hurt the bank account. But like I said, make sure you do your research first. So if you're looking to move to Surfside Beach and you don't fit one of these categories, that's fine. We would still love to have you because I think you'd enjoy your life here. But I'll tell you what, when it comes down to it, folks that are going to love living here are families, retirees, second home buyers that just want to get away for a weekend, maybe from like the Charlotte area or upstate South Carolina, beach lovers, and anybody that wants a slower pace while staying close to everything that Myrtle Beach and the Grand Strand has to offer. Also, folks that are remote workers, thanks to our friends at HTC, you can now get high-speed internet and work from home, which is great. Personally, I like being here in my office pretty much because the beach is right there. So a lot of folks reach out a lot and they find a property in Surfside Beach, right? And they'll say, "Well, Phil, yeah, I saw your video, and you said that houses in Surfside only start at X amount of money, but I found one, and it's a deal over in name this neighborhood, Deerfield, Southwood, you name it. But you said that houses in Town of Surfside only start at this amount." Well, this becomes one of the main issues when it comes to buying a property in this area. So the 29575 zip code is used by many different areas, or I'm sorry, many different neighborhoods here in the Surfside area, including even Ocean Lakes. But the one thing you got to remember, if you're not in the town limits, you are not in Surfside. Now, I'm not saying you can't claim you're not in Surfside, but the town of Surfside has defined municipal boundaries, which we talked about earlier in this video. Many neighborhoods, they carry the Surfside Beach mailing address, but actually are in the unincorporated area of Horry County, which means your taxes, the town services, police, zoning, and short-term rental rules are very different depending on where your property is located. So just because the mailing address says Surfside Beach doesn't necessarily mean you're in the town of Surfside Beach. The last thing I want you to do is get to the closing table or moving into your house and realizing that you're actually in Myrtle Beach, because if you're not in the incorporated town of Surfside, that is where you're at. That's one of the first things I help buyers try to understand, because it really can affect things from regulations to lifestyle. In fact, if you live in the unincorporated area of Surfside Beach or over in the Deerfield area, you'll find that getting over to Surfside, you'll have to cross 17, and it's something that folks may not like. So it's important to bring up early and, of course, have that conversation so you know exactly where you're buying, and what that entails. Thanks for watching this video about Surfside Beach, our hometown, right here on Coastal Living with Phil T. If Surfside sounds like the town you want to find yourself in, reach out and I'd love to send you some homes or prospective properties in the area. If there's a town or an area you want me to talk about next, leave it in the comments.